Hi, it's Jay Lucas, and I'm here with a good friend of mine, Josh McElveen, formerly political director at WMUR TV in New Hampshire. And we're going to talk about an exciting topic, which is the first in the nation primary, the New Hampshire primary. Welcome, Josh.
Hey, Jay, it's a pleasure to be here, and this is my favorite time of the year. It's difficult to watch, though. I'm not going to lie, because this is my first cycle not being in the anchor chair. So I'm a little jealous, but, I know how exciting it is for everybody doing it, and that's fun to see, too.
Well, Josh, you've had a bird's eye seat here watching the New Hampshire primary over the years, and I'm sure that you've got a number of interesting stories to tell. But it really is a special time, and it's a special event for the state. And New Hampshire voters really do take this very, very seriously.
They do. I mean, the civic duty, it's funny how people view New Hampshire and our place in the process outside of New Hampshire. There's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of misunderstanding, and there's a lot of people who think that, this is more tradition than it is process. I couldn't disagree more. The part of the process is huge, and people in New Hampshire, they listen, they vet these candidates, and they prepare them for the national stage. And we need that when selecting our leaders, I think.
Well, I've very, very young. My grandparents actually brought me down to see a presidential candidate back in the 1960s who was in the New Hampshire primary, Nelson Rockefeller. So it goes many, many years back. But these memories are things that people in our state really cherish because we do take this so seriously.
Yeah. When you ran for governor in 1998, I imagine you were a hot commodity for the Republican candidates who were up here trying to curry favor with you.
Very much so. It was kind of amazing. And it was really one of the great experiences of my life. Because in 1998, of course, I was running for governor, and there was obviously in the year 2000, people knew that Bill Clinton would be leaving the White House, and that Republican candidates who were interested in becoming president looked at New Hampshire, obviously very important. And if you could curry favor or make a good relationship with a person who might become governor of the state during that primary campaign, very important. So we had, oh my gosh, the candidates that year was just amazing who I spent time with and really got to know everyone from Lamar Alexander. But it was really quite an experience because everybody does. I mean, candidates really do view that New Hampshire primary as just so pivotal.
They do. It's the relationships that are built too. I mean, it's something that I consider the political director's job at WMUR probably the best gig in local television, because if you want to be president, in New Hampshire, you got to go see the political director, and you get to meet some really fascinating people and have a lot of great interviews. And
So, Josh, tell us a little bit about that. I mean, there must be a few interviews that sort of stand out and a few personalities that really make kind of a memory for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, how can we? It's tough to talk about candidates in this environment that we're in right now without being overshadowed by the current president, just because of his, dynamic personality. But there's a ton of them that I really enjoy. John McCain was somebody that I remember being extremely intimidated by, not because he's a scary guy. He's John McCain, for crying out loud. And it was my first interview, and he shot me a wink during the middle of the interview just to let me know, hey, I know that you're a little nervous, but everything's going to be okay. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. But my coolest experience, I have to say, my favorite moment, was actually during the last presidential debate. Fortunate enough to have the privilege of being on the national debate stage for the New Hampshire primary. And at one point, I was able to ask Donald Trump a question, and it led to an exchange between Donald Trump and Jeb Bush. And I had to intervene, and Donald Trump shushed me, which immediately led to a big boo from the crowd. So it let me know that New Hampshire had my back, at least, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, and those are the moments. Everyone, I think, a lot of people remember in 1980 when Ronald Reagan was on the stage and said, "Mr. Breen, I paid for this microphone," and that was a pivotal moment in Nashua.
Yeah.
And you can go on almost every 4 years. There's something major that does happen in New Hampshire, and I just remember, being part of this so many times and meeting so many candidates, some wannabes, some people who are real contenders, and then of course it does bring out some other people who are really not contenders, but they're interesting too. And I'm sure you've interacted with your share of those.
Well, you got your Vernon Supremes, and that's anybody with a boot on his head is okay by me. But no, I mean seriously, it's an important part of the process. I'm curious because you travel a lot with your business. I mean, you must hear about it. What do people say about New Hampshire before they find out you're from New Hampshire when it comes to our place in the process?
Well, there's huge in New Hampshire sort of by for being sort of early in the process, but there's definitely a respect for New Hampshire because we've been doing this so long, we've been so good at it, and we take it so seriously. And of course, we have so many great anecdotes to go back to, and reasons that people really do respect New Hampshire.
No, it's critically important. I hope that I remember. I'll just always hold on to what Bill Gardner, a longtime Secretary of State, said to me. He said, "New Hampshire will always have the primary as long as the people of New Hampshire have the will to keep it, and that means turn out and stay engaged." And I hope they do.
Well, and that's a fitting point to end on, Josh. Big tribute to you for all that you. Great talking about the New Hampshire presidential primary.
As always, a pleasure, Jay. Thanks very much.